All right, mathematicians, as promised, we are going to talk about function notation. Function notation is just a fancy way to write an equation. All right, so when we look at having typical equations, we typically see y equals 3x minus 8, right? The t-tables you created in 7th grade, maybe in 6th grade, I can't remember, had the equation y equals 3x minus 8. Function notation takes that y and changes it to f of x. Why? I don't know, makes it fancy. You're 8th graders. Let's change it up a little bit, right? So it changes it from a y to f of x. And what that means is, what is the value of the function when x is a certain number? And we're going to practice that for a little bit today. So just to recap, f of x, the value of f at x, that's how you say it. It's not f times x, okay? It's the value of f at x, or f of x. You say it either way. That replaces your y. Now, to add a little even more fun to it, sometimes it's going to say g of x, or sometimes it might say h of x, because again, why not, right? So keep in mind that when you see them, most of the time, we're going to see function notation. So instead of y, which is our dependent variable, which is our output, which is our range, keep you back to what we talked about a couple days ago, we're changing it now to f of x. And we can replace this with a value. So what is the function when x is 2? What is the function when x is 8? We can make those changes. So couple things with functions. We've talked about them. It's worth mentioning again. Your independent variables is your x. It's your input. It affects the other. Your dependent variable is your y, or your f of x. It depends on the other one. The amount of money you make babysitting depends on how many hours you babysit. The amount of gas left in your vehicle depends on how much you drive. Talking about those independent, dependent variables, very important. So let's practice using this function notation. So this is the equation we're going to be given. And again, I apologize for having added some pages since you got your notes in September. We just really felt there were a few things we needed to add to what we were talking about. And so that's why we're doing it. You can write this on a sheet of notebook paper. You can write it on the back of your packet. I appreciate your flexibility with this. We're kind of just rolling with the punches sometimes, but we really felt this was important. So take a look as we go along. You can write this all down if you want. You really don't have to. Jot some things down though, okay? Not maybe word for word, but different pieces as we go. We're going to use this function. F of x is equal to 3x minus 4. We want to find the value of the dependent variable. And in this case, the dependent variable is f of x, when the independent variable, that's x, is 10. So when I look up at that equation, I want to figure out what is the dependent when the independent is 10. So I'm going to put 10 in for x. Find the value of f of x when 10 is your x value. So f of x, the value of the function, is 30 minus 4. So the value of the function is 26. Now, this is the first time we're going through it, so it might be a little messy, and that's okay. That's the learning process happening, right? We're going to try to figure this out so it gets a little bit smoother as we go along. Number B. Letter B. All right, the value of the dependent variable. We need to find the value of the dependent variable, which is f of x. If the independent variable, x is your independent variable, if the independent variable is -2. So f of x is equal to 3 times -2, because I'm putting -2 in for x, minus 4. So f of x is -6 minus 4. F of x is equal to -10. So what we're doing here is we're using independent and dependent, really practicing those words. And then we're using and applying the order of operations that we practiced earlier in the year. We keep coming back to those concepts. We keep utilizing them. We keep practicing them. And it's important that we continue to improve our ability to do this. This last one, let's take a peek. I'm going to scroll this a little bit so it's better, easier to see. So we're going to find the value of the independent variable. So my independent variable is x if the dependent variable is -1. So my dependent variable is f of x. So when I set this up, it's going to look like -1 is 3 times x, because I don't know what that is, minus 4. Now, this is a two-step equation, and we haven't reviewed two-step equations yet, so you might choose to use a guess and check method, or if you're remembering how to solve equations, go ahead and use that. It's just getting us to see the difference between independent and dependent, really. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides because I'm undoing it. And again, understanding the difference between the independent and dependent is our focus here. So keep that in mind as we go through. So 3 equals 3x. So 3 times what is 3? 3 times 1 is 3. And there we go. All right, we're going to do one more practice with this, and then I'm going to give you some time to work on your assignment. So for f of x, find each value. All right, now here's my new equation. What is the value of f of x if x plus 5 is what it's worth? So the value of the dependent, we want to find the value of the dependent when the independent is 8. So f of x is equal to -8 plus 5. We're utilizing our skills, more negatives than positives, so it's going to be -3 is f of x. The excuse me, the independent variable, if the dependent variable is 15. So that means I'm putting 15 in for f of x. So 15 is equal to x plus 5. What plus 5 is 15? That's 10. X equals 10. And the last one, find the independent variable. Find the independent if the dependent is 12. Really practicing independent is your x, dependent is your f of x. So if 12 is something plus 5, what is my x? My x is going to be 7. Utilizing finding the independent and dependent. Go ahead and give some practice. If you've got questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Happy day.